In today's topic, we would be discussing the concept of demand. Demand is defined as the quantity of a commodity, goods and services that consumers are willing and able to buy at a given price, place, and time. Demand is distinct from wants, needs, or desires. In economics, effective demand must meet three conditions: ability to pay, willingness to pay, authority to buy a commodity. Demand is closely related to price, as price largely determines the quantity consumers are willing to purchase. Law of demand. The law of demand states that, all things being equal, ceteris paribus, the higher the price, the lower the quantity of goods that will be demanded, or the lower the price, the higher the quantity of goods that will be demanded. This law, often regarded as the first law of demand and supply, implies that when the price of a commodity, e.g., yam, is high, fewer quantities will be demanded by consumers, and vice versa. Demand curve. The demand curve is the graphical representation of the information contained in the demand schedule. Price is plotted on the vertical axis, and the quantity demanded is plotted on the horizontal axis. Both the demand schedule and the demand curve illustrate the law of demand, which states that the higher the price of a commodity, the lower the quantity demanded, and vice versa. Types of demand. Complementary, joint demand occurs when two or more goods are required together at the same time by a consumer, e.g., tea and sugar, car and petrol. An increase in the demand for cars will lead to an increase in the demand for petrol, and vice versa. Competitive, substitute, demand occurs when two goods are close substitutes and serve the same purpose. If the price of one commodity increases, its demand will fall as consumers shift to the lower-priced substitute, e.g., fish and meat, tea and coffee, butter and margarine. Composite demand occurs when the total demand for a single commodity serves multiple purposes. For example, cocoa beans are demanded for making cocoa beverages, cocoa bread, cocoa wine, and chocolate. Cassava is demanded for making fufu, gari, starch, and cassava powder, ilubo. Derived demand occurs when the demand for a commodity is not for its immediate consumption but for another commodity. For example, the demand for flour is derived from the demand for bread and cake. Factors affecting the demand for a commodity. Price of the commodity: the higher the price, the lower the quantity demanded, and vice versa. Price of other commodities applies to complementary or substitute goods. If a commodity's price is high, consumers may demand its close substitutes. Income of the consumer: as a consumer's income increases, their demand for goods and services also increases. Change in taste and fashion. Demand changes according to the prevailing fashion and individual tastes. Distribution of income: the pattern of demand in a population where income is evenly distributed differs from that in a population with concentrated income. Size of the population: the level size of the population determines the level of demand. The population structure, age, sex distribution also affects demand for specific commodities. Weather: prevailing weather conditions influence the demand for particular commodities, e.g., umbrellas are in higher demand during the rainy season. Expectation of future price changes: if consumers expect future price increases or decreases, current demand will adjust accordingly. Advertising: effective advertising increases demand for the targeted product. Availability of credit facilities: when consumers can defer payment for goods, demand increases. Introduction of new commodities: new products can increase demand for themselves while reducing demand for older products. Taxation on commodities: higher taxes on goods reduce demand as costs rise, lower taxes have the opposite effect. Exception to the law of demand. Exceptional or abnormal demand does not follow the basic law of demand, which states that the higher the price, the lower the quantity demanded. In cases of abnormal demand, a higher price may lead to higher demand, no change in demand, or a lower price may lead to lower demand or no change in demand. Conditions for these exceptions include: Goods of ostentation, prestigious goods. Necessary but cheap commodities. Inferior, Giffen, goods. Expectation of future price changes. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.